three planes of existence inhabited by multidimensional beings, all having some sort of purpose or motive. They all exist at different points and places of this complex dimension of being, all competing against each other to further their own agenda, and all of them have some sort of lesson to teach. Some are much more horrifying than others. In the case of Childhood Has Passed, it inhibits the conscious. This is the most common plane of existence through which it communicates with humans. By being present with conscious beings, it can interact with those who make decisions and are vulnerable to manipulation. Though this form dwells on a lower plane of consciousness compared to its other versions, it can still reach the superconscious level of conscious beings. Once there, it can take over their minds, creating a new copy of itself to move on to the next victim. While the version that achieved superconsciousness explores every corner of the victim's mind, forcing them to relive their life in countless situations to understand and to gather knowledge. Once inside someone's mind, it can control everything infinitely, shifting consciousness into a more dreamlike state. Even if the host dies, childhood remains there. Since the mind no longer exists on a linear plane but on a relative one, akin to the fourth dimension. Existing in another corner of your mind, or rather reality itself, the subconscious. The subconscious is the plane of the mind that stores all of our memories, the state that influences our awareness. Good Future inhabits the subconscious, specifically through dreams. One lives to counter the other and stop its motive, but chaos always finds a way to ensue. There are multiple fears, and there's one a lot of people share. The unconscious is the most primitive state of mind, the one that makes us breathe without thinking, the one that makes us close our eyes at sudden danger. Adulthood inhibits a dangerous plane of the mind, though not everyone will encounter it. Fear of the future keeps us alert, triggering primal instincts of fight or flight. Like childhood, it can reach super consciousness if it captures you in its final hunt. But unlike childhood, adulthood allows you to remain in its apocalyptic, chaotic world as an instinct-driven being, guiding and helping others survive. These three states of mind can either be incredibly dangerous or push you towards a brighter future, but ultimately the fight resides within you. Though, for this particular being, chaos is exactly what it wants. Before delving fully into the fascinating monstrosity that this is, I'd like to give a quick shout out once again to Ray or AR for providing me with the Google Doc and drawing some awesome art. Once again, I'll be reading directly off the Google Doc provided to make sure information is as accurate as possible. So please go support Ray and subscribe and follow him so you guys can keep up to date with his animations and stories. I know I glaze the guy a lot, but doing research for this video can be time consuming, and quite frankly, I'm grateful some of the script is written out for me. After all, I'm currently working on my Whisper of Soul review, and, well, I can say I'm going insane. Enough about my sanity, we don't care about that. We have one edgy, multi-dimensional being to talk about. Without further ado, let's talk about the terrifying world of living a life that isn't yours. Adulthood is not the same entity as childhood has passed. I notice some people will get confused, but know that adulthood, Good Future, and childhood has passed are not the same being. In fact, he's quite the opposite. Adulthood threatens the very purpose of childhood. It manifests through nightmares disguised as dreams, often appearing after nights filled with anxious thoughts about the future. If you encounter it, trust your instincts. Run. Do not accept its challenge, for you might lose. Wake up however you can, but survive. Adulthood lacks the ability to communicate through reflections. Its confinement lies in the unconscious of every being capable of reason, especially those who fear the future. Unlike childhood, which interacts with its victims directly while they are conscious, adulthood preys upon them through nightmares disguised as dreams. While childhood seeks nostalgic adults, adulthood is drawn instead to those who fear what lies ahead, particularly children and teenagers. At that age, it is far more likely to be terrified of what the future holds rather than focus on the present. This threatens childhood's domain, for if adulthood takes hold of someone early in life, they may never develop the nostalgia childhood feeds upon, since adulthood will already have claimed them. The false future it shows its victims is inspired by the Frutiger Arrow style, both natural and futuristic. Its artifact, a dart gun with an eye, is more powerful than childhood's, for it can recreate people, places, scenarios almost perfectly, as long as they depict visions of the future. Still, distortions and inconsistencies may occur. So, we know that adulthood goes directly against childhood, but is much more sinister than good future. I think this is a horrifying reality, because the fear of the future gets more terrifying the older you get. And depending on where you live in society, it can influence how you feel. Some people fear they won't get the job they want. People fear getting older and if they will be happy in the future, but the future will always promise uncertainty. Now, imagine a being who preys on that and only makes your situation a lot scarier. For anyone who suffers with anxiety or restlessness, that's when adulthood strikes. At some point, you'll be in a game of life or death. But how exactly? And what happens during his phases? Disguised as their current favorite character, just as childhood can embody any character from a series, video games, movie, etc., the victim will believe themselves to be in a dream, fully aware of everything around them. Adulthood will then challenge them to a duel. If the victim is a child, both will appear on tricycles. As a quick side note, I think this is kind of funny. If the victim is a teenager, both will ride bicycles. Adulthood hands you a toy weapon and your mission is to avoid being struck by his darts while striking him with yours. The battlefield is usually a place familiar to the victim, but cleaner, modern, and strangely more beautiful than ever before. It feels like a fun game, but that's the trick. Well, personally, I think this would be the coolest thing ever. The outcome of losing is not what I would want. At first, playing dart guns with Shadow the Hedgehog sounds amazing. I'm gonna tell you what happens if you lose. Your consciousness will fade, leaving you blank. Eventually, you awaken in what seems to be your bedroom, though soon you notice you've grown older. Your parents and your family also look older. Outside, the world appears to be more advanced, modern and technological, yet also natural. The economy is thriving. People are kind to each other. Your friends welcome you warmly, telling you they've missed you. Had a sick relative? They're healed. Afraid of your future? You are now successful in living your greatest dream. Longing for love or wealth? Here, you already have it all. Naturally, you'll be astonished, but soon, every time you look in the mirror, you'll see not your reflection, but the character who challenged you. He will tell you that you've awakened in the future, that you are important to the world and to everyone around you. In this fabricated reality, massive clocks can be seen everywhere, endlessly ticking forward. You won't realize it, but while adulthood keeps you trapped there, your body continues to age, your life slipping away as you lie in a coma. Before reading the next bit, which makes the situation worse, I know some of you guys are going, wow, that might be a pretty good deal, but this life ultimately isn't yours. I mean, what good would any of it mean if you didn't earn it? Something will always come at a cost, and I will explain to you just what that is. In this false reality, days pass as if they were real. You can eat, play your favorite games, and everything unfolds perfectly for you. Adulthood doesn't want you to discover the truth, so it poses as a magical friend, always there to answer your questions. If you begin doubting his lies and wish to escape, you may challenge him to another duel. But beware, the longer you remain here, the stronger he becomes. At first, defeating him is simple, but his powers increase over time, making it much harder. Stay too long and the world begins to collapse. Your family withers away, your friends abandon you, conflicts escalate, buildings crumble, your dreams are destroyed. Everything descends into chaos and everyone turns to you. If you reach his final form after spending an entire day trapped, the idyllic world decays into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Everyone is dead. Only you and adulthood remain. At this point, you are his prey. To win, you must survive long enough to awaken. I will say, this is absolutely terrifying. I want you to imagine the end of the world, and the only thing that survives, you just watched all of your friends die, all of your family die, everything, right? The only thing that remains is this thing that is going to hunt you. The world has completely collapsed. Everything that you thought was going amazing is 100% gone now, and you are alone. Unlike childhood, it is possible to escape his final form. By then, at least 45 years will have passed in the real world. You will have lost your entire childhood and adolescence, assuming your parents chose to keep your body alive through decades of a coma. What happens if, upon waking, you find out that you are dead after all those years? Adulthood will realize that you're dead by knowing what has happened, is happening, and will happen. If you are dead in the world because of your consciousness, it will create a fake reality in your mind identical to the life you once had. No plot twists, a world technically identical to the one you had with the same people you knew. That said, this world can be exhausting, as you will feel that with time, no matter how much you grow, will move faster. You will notice that the economy, the world, and everything in general worsens over time. You might start to think that perhaps you are the only person in your life. You will die naturally after completing your false life. Or, well, it depends. It could be a horrible death, whatever it is. It will only make you believe that you are dead. Your consciousness will remain active forever. I know at first, some people were like, oh, I get to go to my favorite world, shoot a dart gun at Shadow, and if I lose, I get a utopia. But it quickly becomes a living nightmare. Every decision you make isn't yours. If you don't win the duel, you're stuck in a never-ending loop of a world that was once great. While you know the future, it's not the one you want. This isn't just the biggest case of FOMO, it's the most horrifying case of knowing the future. You got to live a little bit of a perfect life, but as time went on, as the clock ticked, it got worse. It's not a dream come true. It's every nightmare you ever had coming crashing down on you in a perpetual state of existence some people will never know. Whereas childhood takes you back and brings you into its prison, adulthood takes you to somewhere, in my opinion, that's way more horrifying. The fascinating things about these particular creatures is their manipulative nature, their design, and the way that they immerse you in a world that makes you think. It's more psychological horror, and that's why I find it fascinating. I love the philosophical aspect of it because it brings a new interesting development to this community, and quite frankly, I'm grateful I get to talk about it and give it a platform to live on. This universe will continue to expand as Ray adds more creations, and it's always food for thought. For anyone who is scared of the future, anyone who's anxious about it, ultimately, you can't control what is going to happen. Only the actions that you take in response to them. Everything seems scary now, and it might be hard to stay positive. But just as the future could be bad, it could also be good. Take it one step at a time, and if good future taught us anything, there's always hope. You just have to fight with all you got. Speaking of fighting, let's go ahead and go into Adulthood's abilities. I don't think I've emphasized how metal this guy is, and also how scary he is, and you guys will see what I mean by that. Bone motorcycle. He rides a motorbike built from bones of your loved ones who perished during your visit to the future. With it, he hunts you down. This alone is horrifying. That's not all he has, though. Finger bullets. Can fire bullets by shaping his hand like a gun, pressing two fingers together. His necktie transforms into a lasso, which he wields like a cowboy to ensnare you. He possesses the power to freeze time momentarily in order to find you. You must hide well to avoid being discovered. That's right, he actually has chaos control. Most terrifying game of freeze hide and seek I have ever seen. When adulthood begins the hunt, it is very likely he will warn you that he is about to play hide and seek. He will give you a time limit. You must use the destroyed establishments in the ruined city to conceal yourself. Once you have chosen your hiding spot, he will use chaos control to freeze time. When this happens, you will no longer be able to move. Adulthood will then shut all his senses except for sight to make the game more interesting. He will search for 30 seconds. If he does not find you, the chase continues and you will gain resources to survive. If he does find you, you lose. Fair play. This ensures you always have a means of escape, such as a motorcycle made of human skulls and bones, to keep the hunt balanced. Once you become an adult in the futuristic nightmare, you will gain all the knowledge you need to drive, use weapons, and survive. The Whispers of the Fallen may guide you to gather resources or find places to hide. He also has Whispers of the Fallen. Those who did not survive adulthood may still leave behind clues guiding you towards survival. So, for clarification, Whispers of the Fallen is all of those people who have failed against adulthood and are now stuck there for eternity, only there to help guide you or whoever is next for all of eternity. I can't tell if adulthood actually enjoys the hunt or not, but he does try to give you a fair shot at winning, though it's a bit sadistic because by this time you're already pretty much screwed. I really like that these abilities could be used in any media and it's so versatile in what it can be. Same with all the other creations. Again, absolutely bone chilling. See what I did there? Plus, if I had this thing chasing me down, yeah, no thanks. All right, now let's look into the design and phases and a few cool details that are included in each phase. So the first phase, unlike childhood and good future, adulthood does not have a clock indicating the phase. This is because they tend to keep everything even more hidden. When you enter their mental and false version of the future, a massive clock will appear, like a monument in the middle of the victim's city. This is where you could see time advancing in real time. Adulthood usually does not appear and will only show up when the victim summons them by looking in a mirror. If that happens, they may challenge the victim to a duel to escape the future. In the second phase, the pendulum on their torso will begin to move. This is when you realize that the second phase has started. They will also gain more lines on what appears to be a tie, but as mentioned before, it is still a pendulum. The phase occurs when the future clock reaches 1/4 of an hour, 15 minutes. In the third phase, the pendulum on the torso will move faster and in a more frenzied manner. The future clock will show 2/4 of an hour, 30 minutes. Challenging them to a duel, this phase will be dangerous as they will be faster than you. The fourth phase. In the fourth phase, the pendulums on the torso will move absurdly fast in a highly frenzied manner. The future clock will show 3/4 of an hour, 45 minutes. They will not only be faster now, but they're going to be much faster at attacking you than you are it. The pendulum / lasso can harm you, but it will not kill you, quote unquote. The fifth phase. The future clock cycle has been completed. 4/4 of an hour, 60 minutes. Their pendulum can now trap and kill you. If you want to escape, I put kill in parentheses, by the way, because of how I explained it earlier, so you're not really dying. Just note that it's in parentheses. If you want to escape, you must survive for 15 minutes, but beware, it will feel like hours. They are incredibly fast. They can stop time, use their guns as hands, their lasso to capture you, and their bone motorcycle to move even faster. Survive, fight, win. I really like the fight aspect of this, even if the outcome isn't ideal. You get one more chance to fight. You leave the way that you got in, and you get one more chance to actually survive. Even if the chances of survival are really low, you do get another chance. Now, I say that as a concept, right? As a story. When I'm looking at it, I'm going, that is metal as hell, and I love it. But in a game of life or death, I was in that situation. If my whole world came crashing down, if adulthood I had nothing left, I would be horrified, and most people would. Some of you guys are like, no way, I'm the protagonist. I can take him. I'm like, all right, buddy. Now go ahead and accept his deal then. Yeah, have fun sleeping tonight. The whole look and concept is fascinating and is probably a contender for my favorite out of the three. Once again, my FNF fans are going to like this. There is an FNF song called All Grown Up, a song for adulthood. I'll go ahead and show it to you guys here. I think it sounds pretty good. Let me know what you think of it down below. But we're not done just yet, as adulthood does have an official voice, of which I'm going to show you now in order to really get a feel for just how this guy acts and how differently he'll approach things in different phases when you see him again.
Are you skilled enough to defeat me in a duel? If you lose, I'll show you the future. If you win, you can leave. Try me. If you dare, you're challenging me. This is your future. Are you sure you want to leave so soon? I assure you, it won't be that easy. What? Do you think I'm being too harsh now? Is it too much for you? Even if you manage to defeat me, time is no longer on your side now.
Keep fighting. Now that you know the truth, are you willing to fight for your freedom? Believe me, it's not much better out there. Thinking too much about the future prevents you from enjoying the present. Now fight! Win! Win!
I actually kind of like the voice for this guy, as it's like almost Shadow, and I think that that's a really cool detail. Let me know which one of these creatures are your favorite, considering that we have talked about 3, of which you guys can check out in the description, or I'll have a title card so you guys can click and choose which one you want to watch next, if you haven't already. Be sure to check out Ray, give him all your money, and remember, stay spooky! We've talked about what thinking too much about the past can do to your mind. We've talked about the horrifying reality of thinking about the future too much and what it can do to your mind. We've already talked about how nostalgia doesn't have to be harmful and can even bring you a good future. What if, instead of taking you to your happiest memory, it takes you to your worst childhood trauma? What if you got
A bad future.